Hello and welcome to Retrotainment episode 18. I am joined again this week by my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
We've finally gotten out of those dangerous woods.
Yeah, Jesus. Big wolves in there, boy.
Yeah, scary stuff in there.
Unfortunately, we did lose Ray in the process.
Well, no, he just stayed in his woods. We'll find him there again eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But this week we've joined a crew on a plane.
A jailbird plane.
Yeah, called christened ConAir, which is also the name of the film.
Yeah, it's a great movie. This.
It's a great film. Yeah, it's one of Nick Cage's best, I think.
This and Gone in 60 Seconds and Snake Eyes are probably his three best.
Yeah,
I think. Well, my opinion, they are anyway.
I really like Nick Cage as an actor. I know there was a period of time where people kind of were like, "Oh, Nick Cage," and just made a joke out of him, but I like him.
I wouldn't mind it. Around that time, that was kind of after he brought Ghost Rider and all out. There was one that he done called Pay It Forward. Pay the Ghost. It was one of the horror ones that he done. I actually quite enjoyed it. If you get a chance to check that one out.
I enjoy him as an actor. Like I know he went off and he did some pretty bad films, but
the Wicker Man.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to take some risks,
Ah, but like everyone's done, well, not everybody, but a lot of actors have all done bad movies.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like the pretense for this could have turned out quite bad.
Yeah, well, I think they went big. Jerry Bruckheimer, I think, went big on the cast.
Well, look at the cast. Story. That's what I was gonna say. Like, look at the cast that's in it. It's huge.
Yeah, the story. And then like even like once you put Jerry Bruckheimer's name to something, it's gonna make money anyway.
Yeah, but obviously released the 2nd of June, 1997. So,
Jesus Christ, I was 6.
Yeah, it makes you feel old when you look back at it. As always, a quick look at the ratings. 66 critics gave it 56% on Rotten Tomato, which I think is a little unfair.
I think that might have a lot to do with Nick Cage himself.
With Nick Cage,
his accent slips so much through this movie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's meant to be, this Southern boy, and it's only whenever they, reference him being Southern, he puts the accent back on, and then it goes away again.
It goes really deep into the Alabama accent at times.
And then when they don't mention it, it's just, I'll just forget I had that accent completely. But a 75% by the audience, which I think is probably a bit fairer of a result.
It's to be fair, that's kind of fair because it's an enjoyable movie.
It's nothing special, yeah.
It's not something you have to sit down and focus completely in on. Like you could turn it on maybe 15, 20 minutes, half an hour in, and then you kind of cop on that what they've done.
I know people talk about this in certain films, like certain films you need to sit down and you need to like concentrate to watch, but action films, that's not something you want to. Like in action films, you just want to be able to sit down and just kind of turn your brain off and enjoy it most of the time. Yeah, and that works in this like perfectly.
Yeah, 100%. The story's pretty simple, really.
Yeah. But a really big box office for this, like 224 million.
Did it tell you what the budget was?
I didn't look up the budget, but like even still, 224 million is a very good box office.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, like you think looking at the cast.
Yeah.
Like Nick Cage, I think would have been really big around this time.
This is probably the time where Nick Cage was at the pinnacle of his career. I would say.
I think it might have been around this time when Snake Eyes came out and 8mm and all came out.
Yeah, and I mean you've got Steve Buscemi as well, who was
Danny Trejo, Ving Rhames.
At the top. Yeah, quite at the top of his. John Cusack's in it as well.
John Cusack. John Malkovich is in it as Cyrus the Virus.
Dave Chappelle, who
as Pinball.
Yeah, and this is Dave Chappelle's comedy career is like right at its the top here in the like late 90s. This is when Dave Chappelle really hit it big. Not over here, but in the States, he was huge by this point.
Yeah, Colin Meaney's in this as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, another big name. But it starts off, he's like we learn that he's in the army, that he's a ranger, and he comes home.
The start of this is the most propaganda video you'll ever see, bar Rocky 4.
Yeah,
where it's showing the Rangers out doing
the Americans, they love their army, Greg. But he comes home and he goes to this bar where he meets his wife, who's this is probably one of the first one of the biggest plot points. His wife is pregnant, where he's meant to have been off on duty,
But then again, he could be in a base and then you can go home for the weekend and things like that.
Yeah,
But she didn't look
possibly.
too. She didn't look too far gone.
Yeah, she's not that far gone, if she is pregnant. But the wife's pregnant. He goes back, and some drunk guy from the bar, some regular, comes over and hits on her, and he's kind of like, he's ready to fight. He's ready to fight, and she says, "Just leave it, just leave it."
To be fair, your man's being a dickhead. Like,
the man is being a dickhead, yeah.
You can clearly see that, like, it's not as if she's sitting at the bar by herself.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and like, he even says it to him. He's like, "Listen, I just want to dance with my wife here," and your man's like, "She should come dance with me." You're like, "Okay, man, that's a bit much."
And then he throws the money at him and hits him in the face with it.
Yeah. So like, she says, "Just leave it," and he does. He's like, "Cry, fine, I'll leave it, no trouble." And then they go home later on that night.
To me, now, this is something you see in a lot of films in America. They're in the bar for, like, it's kind of bright when he gets there, and it's pitch black when they're leaving.
Yeah, but she's in work, Greg.
No, I get that, but so that obviously means either she's driving or he's drink driving, one or the other.
No, because he might not be drinking. He might, like, he's just come home from wherever he was. He's just hanging around.
Man's 100% not going to hang around.
I don't know. But she, she's finished up work. They're ready to go home. They go out to get into the car. It's pissing rain.
He's being the gentleman. He has the jacket over her head and all.
And then three boyos from the bar come out and start on him.
Broken bottle.
I mean, they're coming out. They're starting on him. Now, yeah, he could have just gotten the car, and then what are they going to do?
He 100% should have just gotten that car.
He should have, but he stands up to them, and a little scuffle ensues, and then some guy pulls a knife.
Did you notice though when he first goes to walk away from the car, he actually backs himself into the middle of the three of them, rather than keeping himself against the car to protect his back.
I know.
I know he knows that he's a ranger and he's obviously well trained.
Yeah. It's just the sort of thing, like, look how dangerous he can be. They're just trying to get that across, that he has no fear of it.
Yeah.
But they get into the scuffle, and then one guy pulls a knife.
He takes a couple of battering shots here, though.
Yeah, he takes a few shots, and then your man pulls the knife, and he just sees red and gives him the palm strike under the nose, which kills him stone dead.
All in which point she has ran to the bar to get the bar owner.
Yeah, and they come out and they're like, he's dead. So he pleads guilty to manslaughter after being told to by his lawyer.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, like, that's the fairest way that would have went down. You know what I mean? Your man's had to pull a knife on him.
Yeah, it is still manslaughter, though.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. But, like, he wanted him to plead to get 4 years, but theoretically 3 of them attacked him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, true. But he ends up getting 7.
7 to 10.
Well, 7 to 10, which, kind of just means he's going to get 7, like, he's not, you're not going to give them 7 to 10, you're getting.
I'm not entirely sure that in real life that would have went to jail from being a ranger.
No, he probably would have just got dishonorably discharged from the army.
Well, he was gone anyway. Like, he'd been, that's why he was back. His time is up.
Yeah, that's not really the way the American army works, though. Your time isn't just up.
Yeah. Well, it is. If you sign on for a certain amount of years.
Well, yeah, it's kind of irrelevant anyway. Like, he gets put away for 7 to 10 years, and we see him. He's just in his cell, and he's writing back and forwards to the wife, and she's sending him, just stuff in the post.
The pink things are real hit down here.
He makes up making a friend, who ends up just being a cellmate.
Eventually, yeah, because he's in a cell on his own at the start.
Yeah, but he ends up, friends with this guy, and while he's in there, he's getting books on, how to learn origami and Spanish and all this other stuff. And
he makes the swan and it moves.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that stuff is possible, but, like, he's using his time in there pretty well.
Oh yeah, he just keeps himself to himself. Like, even there's a scene where you see them rioting and everyone's trying to escape, and he's just rolled up.
Yeah, he just stays there, works out in his cell, and he's writing letters back and forwards to the wife, and eventually his daughter. She's saying things like, "Oh, I started like, I don't know what they call it, like daycare, which is essentially just getting your child getting looked at after." And, like, she probably can't really write at that point. That's kind of like 2 years old. Like, they're not really able to read and write at that point. But it progresses. She gets older. He gets sent pictures of her.
She's in first grade and she got bullied by a guy in school.
Yeah, like I think it's really well done. You know, like this is how if someone was in prison, you imagine life would be. You know, they'd be writing back and forwards to their significant other and talking about, you know, here's my child, and get pictures sent in so that you know what the child looks like and things like that. I think like it's a good little scene. I think.
Oh yeah, like it's a good build up to show that he's actually bettering himself for something rather than
and
just
then
to get out.
Yeah, and then you know we get to it's been 8 years and he's been given his parole, and both him and the cellmate are now going to be transported. Now, I don't understand why the cellmate's getting transported.
Yeah, and I don't think it ever really delves into it.
They never delve into it because originally I was like, oh, is he getting transported because he's going to the new prison? But the new prison's meant to be this big supermax prison for, you know, like the worst of the worst. And
which tells me then, because you know when they're talking after he gets his parole, he's like, "You'll get your letter one day." And he's like, "I won't see a letter with my name on that."
Yeah, but
so
I mean,
to me, that tells me this is kind of another plot hole they leave because
he's not going to be. He's not as bad as the other guys that are being put onto this plane.
Yeah, well, these are the who's who, aren't they?
Yeah, so you're kind of like, it's a bit strange, but like, you know, whatever. The two of them are getting onto this plane. That's going to, you know, he's going back home.
He's just hitching a ride, as they say.
It's just hitching a ride, and all these other huge convicts are going to be on it, you know. Guys on there for, you know, murder of 30 different people, drug dealings.
Cyrus the Virus, the biggest one on it, was 23 kills. These are the first group that come on.
Yeah, Cyrus the Virus is one of the main ones. He's put into like a cell.
Yeah, he's not allowed nowhere.
And then we have
you've got Mad Dog.
Is it Mad Dog?
Yeah. No, Diamond Dog.
Diamond Dog, isn't it? Yeah. You have Diamond Dog, who also gets put in a cell, and then you have Billy Bedlam.
Yeah, Billy's a dickhead.
He's put into a cell as well. So you have these three guys locked up in these cells because they're the three worst, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're getting onto the plane, they're all getting loaded on, and then we see a little scene with
Colin Meaney getting his DEA agent on.
His DEA agent on, and they're like, here's your gun, and they're like, no.
No guns.
John Cusack is like, no, there's no guns on that plane. Like, I'm telling you now, like, it's too much of a risk. The only gun on that plane is in the captain's place in the glove box, and that's it. Belly. And then there's weapons on the underside just in case. But I'm telling you now, he's not getting a gun going onto that.
Like the main precipice of getting the DEA agent on is to try and get someone to talk to say where the drug shipments are coming from.
I think that's Pinball. I assume it's Pinball that they're trying to get to talk.
No, because Pinball is sitting beside the Mexican. They said that you'd be sitting beside him.
Yeah, but then he's not sitting beside anybody. So
yeah, it again another plot hole.
Yeah, so I assume that it is meant to be Pinball because he's the one that they consistently refer to as, you know, the mouthy drug addict, you know.
Yeah, but
so it probably is him, but they load everyone on, you know. Everyone's the prisoners are strapped, like they're checked as they go on, you know, open your mouth,
the usual,
and then as Cameron goes to go on, your man goes, what's this? And he's like, it's a picture of my daughter. And he's like, yeah, well, no personal effects. And he's like, well, it's like, I'm gonna get that back from you.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, right, get on the plane now. On his way to getting transported, he's on the little bus, and he's talking to Bishop, who is the female, the female police officer, and she's just like, oh yeah, that's great, like you're gonna see your daughter. And she's like, you haven't seen her yet? And he's like, no, I didn't want my daughter to see me in prison. And you know, his friend is just like, what's the story with my shot? Like,
you get it when you get on the plane, so you know he's like, diabetic.
She looks it up and she's like, oh, you're diabetic, yeah, you'll get it on the plane. And he's like, okay, grant, you know, acceptable. He's not, you know, pushing it. He's not a bad guy. He's just like, yeah, I just want to make sure I'm not going to die before I land, you know.
I may or may not be wrong, but with a plane like that, I don't believe they're going to let a female on as a guard. As bad as that sounds.
Well, see, it's hard to tell because they have them all, like all the prisoners are strapped down in their seats as well.
Yeah, but in the case of worst case scenario.
Yeah, but at the same time, do you know, if you're a police officer, you're a police officer.
Yeah, I suppose, but that's just me thinking that way. But
yeah, but they have all the guys, you know, strapped down and stuff.
Well, you also have Danny Trejo on the plane as well as Johnny 23.
Johnny 23, who has a tattoo of roses on his arm for each girl. He's raped, and he's like, if they knew the actual number, to be
Johnny 600.
Johnny 600, and we see Cyrus chatting to him a little bit.
Rapist are the lowest of low.
Yeah,
which is I think it's meant to be the same in every prison.
Yeah,
child molesters and whatnot.
Yeah, they're looked down as, you know, even the murderers look down on them as, you know, like there's something wrong with you. But we see the DEA agent being snuck on, and Colin Meaney's character sneaks the gun, puts the gun in at his ankle.
Yeah, which also here doesn't make sense that like the guard straps, like he's strapped down in the chair with the handcuffs and the ankle bracelet.
Yeah, it's, you know, it is what it is.
It makes for entertainment, but if you've ever watched any kind of movie like this, you 100% know that's where the issue is coming.
Yeah, but you mean like they're meant to have been searched before they got put on, so you can assume that they are meant to be, you know, unarmed. But the plane takes off, and we see Cyrus and Diamond Dog have pins inside the skin of their hands, which this should have been caught. Like, you should have, like, that this sort of thing, like, should be caught.
Yeah, no.
I understand if it's in there, you wouldn't be able to see it, but at the same time, why aren't they on like a metal detector or something coming in?
Yeah,
it's a strange one. But they're pulling them out, and they're going to use them to break open their handcuffs. And we see Pinball.
This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting scene.
He has like a it's a little bit of rope, and it's obviously tied to his teeth or something. And
that's the only thing I can think of, because you see it and it's there, and it's not there.
He hacks it up, and then he pulls it out, and it's a little container that has one match and a
vial of petrol.
I'm assuming petrol. Yeah, it's something flammable anyway.
All coming out of a condom that he pulled out of the throat.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Ugh.
But
not the condom, the string at the back of your throat for however long he was in the thing.
Yeah, having to pull that up through your throat as well, like, 'cause he's like choking and retching it up as well. Yeah. But
the plane has just taken off.
The plane's taken off, and someone's coming around to administer the shot of insulin, and it all gets smashed on the ground, because Pinball turns to the guy next to him and he goes, "I hope you're the forgiving type. I'm really sorry about this.
If you survived this, forgive me."
Throws the petrol on him, and then lights the match, sets him alight, and then he gets pulled away, and he's like, "This guy's on fire! This guy's on fire!" He was like chanting shit, and you know,
it's spontaneous combustion.
Like, Dave Chappelle is brilliant at this. Like, it's just, you know, he's just talking, like, just
he's just babbling. Like, I'd say,
it's brilliant.
To me, I'd say that's mostly improvised.
I would say, yeah, it's just him babbling. Like, I'd say they were just like, "You're gonna set your man on fire. Just say something while they're, you know, moving you."
Yeah.
And as they're moving him, he snatches the keys off Bishop's belt.
Yeah. And unlocks.
He unlocks the first cage, which is Diamond Dog's. Now he's meant to try and unlock both, but
he gets dragged away.
Bishop starts putting a number on him. She starts battering him around.
She's giving him the slaps.
But Diamond Dog is out, and he starts battering a lot of people around.
Yeah, then he gets his handcuff and sticks it into one of the guards' necks, which causes the second cell, or not the second cell, the second cage to open to let the guards in.
Yeah, the second they haven't opened. They've locked the second cell.
No,
they're like tasering him. They're like tasering him through
the cell. He opens it because he has the handcuff in your man's neck.
Yeah, but he has the handcuff in his neck, right? And then your man's like, "Give me the tasers, give me the tasers." Yeah, and then they get the tasers out, and they go, "Right, now open it," because they're all armed with the tasers, and they rush out.
They were going through. Yeah,
they get Diamond Dog down, tasered him. He's getting tasered away, and Pinball manages to sneak over and get the second cell open.
I love how you can hear in the background in this. You can hear John Malkovich as Cyrus like, Go Pinball, open the cage.
You can hear Pinball just like mouthing off the whole time as well. It's brilliant. And he gets the second one open, and Cyrus gets set loose.
Yeah.
Cyrus then runs up, knocks out the guard that had given Cameron a bad time about the picture.
Yeah, and they've now got control.
Yeah, the siren's going off, and the pilots are like, the pilot says to the co-pilot, "Get that gun out and go check what's going on in there."
Yeah.
But Cyrus knows that this is what's going to happen, so he's
sitting waiting at the other side of the door.
Yeah, he switches himself to the door, takes the gun. 3 shots get fired off and kill 3 convicts. And then eventually he turns it. He turns it and kills the co-pilot. Then walks into the pilot and he's like, "No, you tell them
everything's fine."
False alarm. And your man's like, "Or what?" And he's like, "Or I'll shoot you." And he's like, "No one else can fly the plane." And Cyrus is like, "I don't care. Like, I will kill you, and it'll kill all of us. I don't care. Like, tell them that." Or
well, he's on life or he's on death row anyway.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, even if he wasn't, you've just tried to hijack this plane. So
you're not getting off the plane.
Yeah, you're not getting off it one way or the other now at this point. So why not? So your man, he's scared. He messages in. And he's like,
he does the right thing. To be fair,
he's like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Just a mistake. Don't worry about it." And they're all like, "Oh, thank God."
John Cusack loves this plane more than anything I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, but he's just like, "Oh, thank God, everything's good. No problems there."
Yeah.
And then they send Pinball off. Go and find. We're meant to be letting 6 prisoners off.
Yeah.
So go and we know we know 3 of them are over there. Go find the other 3. And he goes off, and then Cyrus lets Billy Bedlam out, and he's like, "Now, are you going to behave?" And he's like, "No, probably not." And he's like, "Well, that's good enough for me."
Billy's a big guy too.
Yeah. Now, as all this starts, we see Johnny 23 move towards Bishop and tell her he's going to be Johnny 24.
They have her handcuffed in one of the cages, but the cage is open.
And he says, "I'm going to be Johnny 24." And Cameron has been set free. All the prisoners have been set free. They've opened all the shackles and stuff. Yeah. And he's like, "Nope, that ain't happening." So he walks down, and this is one of my favorite lines from the film. He's like, do you know what I am?" And he's like, "You're all day ugly." What a line! Like,
it just comes out, and they're still going around opening.
Yeah, but he tells him, after hitting him a smack, he's like, "That's not happening today, not ever." And then Cyrus comes down and he's like, "Can you fly?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Well, if your dick touches her, you are going to be flying out of that plane window.
You're going to jump out of the plane."
Yeah. So it shows that they really do have contempt for Johnny here. Like, nobody likes him.
Well, we actually missed a bit where the DEA agent takes his gun out.
No, well, that kind of comes. That comes just after this, when they discover who the 3. Billy comes back.
No, because Bishop's handcuffed up at this stage.
No, Bishop is still handcuffed up.
No, because he does he not take Bishop? Cyrus has Bishop as a shield.
Yeah, but that's after. They tell him this first, and then the DEA agent finally gets unlocked, because it takes them ages to unlock him, because because Pinball is unlocking them, and he's trying to like move his ankle so that Pinball doesn't feel the gun. So he's the last one to get unlocked. Yeah, so that's kind of happening as all this happens. So once they tell Johnny 23, like, "You will not be raping her," then the DEA agent gets up and he puts the gun to Pinball's head, and Cyrus is like, "You can kill him, like, he's just
a crackhead nigga.
He's just a crackhead, and I don't care about him." And the DEA agent's like, come out from behind her. And you're like, why would he do that? Like, you're just going to shoot him if he does that. He's not, he's not stupid. He's just not going to. And Nick Cage is like, or Cameron's like, "Listen,
you're not in control here.
You're in a bad situation here, and you've announced your DEA, so like, you're already in trouble. Like, you should just kept your mouth shut here. Like, you're an idiot." And he's just like, "Just calm down, just calm." And your man points the gun at him.
There's a guy sneaking up from the side.
Yeah, so a guy sneaking up from behind him, and then the DEA agent turns the gun, shoots that guy, but in doing so, leaves himself open for Cyrus to just shoot him, and that's him dead.
Yeah,
and you're
kind
like,
of. It's essentially a pointless character.
Yeah, the whole point of him is to get that gun to get that second gun on the plane. It seems.
Yeah,
and you're just like, if you just didn't give him that gun, this wouldn't be a problem.
Because you're sitting beside the guy who's going to tell you, but you're sitting beside nobody.
Yeah, but he dies. There's a second gun. Now there is a second plot point that we find out. They discover who the three people that they're meant to get off, and Pinball goes, "There's a slight problem."
Yeah.
One of them's the guy that got shot in the head. The other guy's the guy who got shot in the chest, and then the third guy who is the guy who was sneaking up on him. And it's like, okay, right, we need to land, and we need to let another three people off. And then he's like, "Got any volunteers?" And this one old guy volunteers, like, "I'll do it." And he's like, "Okay, grand." And then Cameron is like, I'm not volunteering. Like, I'm going to make sure you and her get off this plane safely.
Yeah,
her being Bishop. And his friend goes like, I won't survive. Like, I'm not going to survive. And he goes, us two will. So they get up and they're walking back. And Cyrus goes,
hold on a minute now.
Hold on a minute. You can't get off. They're looking for 6 white people. And you, my friend, are black. So you are not getting off.
You are shit out of luck.
And then Cameron's like, listen, I'll get off. And I'll blab the second I get off. That way the plane won't take off. You'll be able to get your injection and everything will be fine. Like, I'll get to go home and all these convicts will be put back in their cells. Everything's perfect. So he has them all sitting there. They've all put on the tags that, show who they're meant to be. But, Cyrus has kind of thought this far ahead and he's like, gag and bag them. And he's
they
like,
won't be open for hours, yeah.
And then he's like, actually, I don't want to get off. And Cyrus just kind of like, why? And he's like, I'm still due 15 years. And when they discover that, like, it's going to be even more. So I want the freedom of wherever you're taking us.
But Diamond Dog has already filled it with him because he's like, we're gonna go to a beach in the non.
Where we can't we can't be extradited back. So he's like, I'd rather just have that actually.
What was it? What did he call it? Girls that are freaks with umbrellas and we drinks or something.
Yeah, and I'd just rather that. And they're like, you seemed all ready to go earlier, and he was like, yeah, it's just the prospect of freedom. But I mean, it's not really freedom, is it? If I get off now, and they're like, okay, get that other guard, the dick guard who took that picture off you.
You can tell that Cyrus realizes how much of an asset he could be.
Yeah, because the certain things he's brought up, like, don't do that because it affects us doing this, and don't do that. So it is good, and he decides, okay, fine, you can stay on the plane. And he asks his name, and he just says Poe, which is his surname, Cameron Poe, and he's just like, okay, grand, you stay on the plane, and we'll put that security guard. So get the clothes off the DEA agent who was dressed as a convict, put them on him. And as he's doing that, Cameron notices that the DEA agent was wearing like a wire that's recording everything. And he goes, great, if I can just get this onto him,
we're good.
Then he'll be able to give that to the other guys and they'll know. Perfect. Now, the problem is...
Genius thought.
The problem is he puts it in under his shirt. Nobody notices. And he does it under the pretense of, give me the picture of my daughter, which he's already taken back from him.
Yeah, but they haven't seen that.
They haven't seen that. So he I
don't know how though, because when he stands him up, he takes it in front of about 10 people.
It's a good cover, Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to get something off him and this, that, and the other. And then they send him out and it's like, okay. They land the plane and they're letting these 6 guys off. Everything seems to be going well, and they're told, and we're taking on these other prisoners.
This it's 6 off, 10 on. But what makes it better here is there's a giant sandstorm in Carson City.
They've all got like goggles on their eyes and stuff like that. So they land the plane.
Yeah.
Oh, and one of the people they've sent off is the pilot.
Yeah. He was the other one, yeah.
Yeah, the pilot and the security guard, they're the other ones that they've sent off, right? So they're like, right, Grant, that's that sorted. The they're getting this new guy on called Swamp Thing, and he knows how to fly planes apparently.
You can see him there in the back corner there beside
Yeah, second from the left there on me, and he can fly planes apparently. So let him do that, I suppose. I don't know where he learned, but fair enough. They're also taking on this. They don't really explain who most of the characters are, but it's like this smarmy guy with his hair like gelled back and in a ponytail.
I'm pretty sure the guy that he is was either, I can't quite picture it, I didn't look it up on IMDb. He's either the bad guy from Crocodile Dundee 2, or he was the boat driver in Anaconda. He's one or the other, I'm maybe sure.
Right. Well, he's the main connection between this group and the guy who's picking them up in the other place to drive to get them to this non-extradited island.
Now this is where it cuts back to the prison cell.
It cuts back to the prison cell, and they're like, they're looking through it, and they're like, there's something wrong with this wall, and they start to break it down.
Yeah, they see the powder on the ground. They're like, is that cocaine?
They start breaking down the wall, and eventually they pull all the stuff out, and it's maps for a plane, and then pictures. There's like a list of wording, and then pictures with the eyes cut out and stuff.
Yeah, that's
it's the 12 apostles at the Last Supper, and John Cusack's character Larkin uses that, and he discovers that it's about where they're landing.
Yeah.
So he rings the local police, and he's like, listen, the convicts are the guards on that plane. You need to do not let that take off.
Yeah, and then
now while all this has been, while he's doing all this, we see the final guy getting transported onto the plane, and this guy
is a late edition, is what they say.
A late edition. Now this guy is chained up in his
Hannibal
own little
Lecter style.
Yeah, in his own little cell, and three guards have to like open the door, then open the lockings that have him down. And he has as you say, he's got the Hannibal Lecter style mask. His hands are like already bound together and stuff.
Yeah, so he's in shackles, but it's like he has a handcuffed straitjacket on.
Yeah, and they put him into like one of the cells on the plane. Like you get in there now. Like,
and then you see them getting off, and John Malkovich asks obviously the controlling officer. He says, "Who is it?" And he's like, "It's Garland Green."
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, great."
Who's killed like 33 people in this slaughter, and
78.
Oh, was it 78? Sorry, yeah. I think it's
78.
33 in one sitting, but 78 altogether, or something.
78 up and down the East Coast or whatever.
Yeah, and then 33 in one big mass killing.
Yeah.
And he's basically just this psychotic
skinny guy.
Yeah, he's like this psychotic cult guy who's just like a murder machine essentially when he gets going.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, this will be interesting.
I'd say nearly all the characters are based off actual killers somewhere along the way.
I think so, yeah. I would say like this one
close to it.
Yeah, this one's kind of a strange one though, because it's kind of, they've used bits of, as we said, Hannibal Lecter with the Hannibal Lecter style mask and everything like that.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of the Manson family sort of thing is what leads him, except in the Manson family, Manson gets other people to do the killing, whereas he himself does the killing. So he's kind of similar to Bundy.
Man's innocent.
Yeah, so it's like he's like similar to Bundy, but like in a cult style thing. Like he's kind of a mix of a lot of different characters.
You could tell that he was kind of he's like, even in this, he doesn't do a whole lot, but he's enigmatic.
Yeah, but Steve Buscemi is brilliant at this part.
This is Steve Buscemi's thing. Like when you see him in certain things, like this one will always stand out for me.
Yeah.
As Garland Green.
Yeah, he's so good at the role because he's not
he
not
looks
like
creepy as fuck too.
He has the creepy look, but he's not, mad. Like he doesn't come across, like he comes across as,
highly intelligent.
He's highly intelligent, he's calm, he's well spoken, he's studied, he knows what's going on around him, but just there's something not right there. He doesn't think what he's doing is wrong, but he's not like, I just kill for the sake of killing either, like he thinks there's a reason behind what he's doing. But they load all these guys onto the plane, and
they watch the
Well,
buses that take the other ones off.
Yeah, and there, as that's starting to leave, we see Pinball has gotten off the plane and run towards this small little hangar with like this little tourist plane. The reason he's there is that Swamp Thing has taken out the tracker on the plane.
It's so funny though, because you just see him pop out the bottom of the plane.
But he gets it onto this other plane, but he gets distracted by some girl there.
No, she catches him.
Well, she catches him, and then,
what are you doing here? It's a restricted zone. He's trying to babble his way out.
Yeah, he is, but he's also like kind of flirting with her as well.
Oh yeah, but that's
So he kind of gets distracted, and then
I love the line there though. You've got the prettiest eyes I've seen in about 10 years.
In 5 to 10, yeah. But he's babbling away to her, but he's done his job. You know, he has managed to do his job of get that transponder onto a different plane, which is what he was, there to do. But we see the bus pulling out, and the security guard who Cameron had put the wire on is trying to constantly communicate with them.
Oh, he's going mental, yeah.
And the other the guy on the security bus just goes, "Hey, shut up," and jabs him with the nightstick, which smashes the
recorder.
Thing. And then it rolls out, and your man looks down and he's like,
He knows then, but they do what I think here they do.
We
really
got a
smart.
problem.
Yeah, they do it really smart here. Like the bus pulls over, and you can see Cyrus looking at it.
Yeah.
And then the bus, they're obviously smart about it. The bus drives off as if nothing's wrong.
Yeah, it stops. He's like, uh-oh. Then it drives off. But then it continues to drive, and he's like, okay, we're sorted. But there's still one police car there. So he walks over, and he's like...
They've called to the copper and be like, don't let that plane take off.
We've got a load of squad cars coming up. Just, stop them. So your man gets out, and he's like, yeah, is everything all right? And Cyrus has the gun behind his back. And then he pulls the gun.
Your man goes to pull the gun, yeah. He goes to pull the gun quickly, and he can't get it out of the holster. He's shot in the face.
Cyrus just ends him and goes, right, back on the plane. He's like, take off. So they start on the runway, and then Pinball's like, does that sound like a plane taking off to you? Oh, God. And he's like running. Now,
this is brilliant. This scene here is absolutely brilliant.
It is, but it's also, what is wrong with Pinball? Why doesn't he just stay there?
No, because they're gonna sweep the area. They're gonna catch him.
Possibly, but he probably could have just, if he just ran the other way, there's a chance he could have got away. I mean, you're not catching up to a plane.
Well, but it's funny.
I suppose I say that he does slightly catch up to it, and he's like banging.
He does catch up. Like
he's banging on the window, and
the guy you set on fire. Yeah, no, it's not. It's the guy you set on fire. He's like, it's me, it's Pinball.
Your man just laughs at him, and then
he falls.
We hear him kind of scream, but we don't know what's happened to him. That's him gone, and we're like, okay,
yeah,
that's Pinball gone.
100% got sucked into the propeller.
Something happens to him, and we don't really know. We hear something, and that's him gone. So we're back up in the air, and Cyrus goes,
where's Pinball?
He's like, yeah, let him out with it.
Let Garland Green out.
And
hey,
Diamond Dog is like, are you sure? Like, maybe we should just leave him locked up. Like, that guy's crazy. And he's like, no, just let him out. It's fine. Go on, let him out. And then
you can see the Ving Rhames character, the Diamond Dog, is kind of afraid to.
Yeah, he's like, well, I don't know about this. Like, this guy's like, yeah, we're all criminals, but this guy is insane. Like, but they let him out. And then we see Billy Bedlam, and he's like, sorry.
He's talking to Poe, yeah.
He's like, you said you were in for another 15 years. That means you would have been on the North Block. And he's like, yep. I never saw you on the North Block. I don't know you. And he's like, yeah, well, there's 166 people on the North Block, and I didn't want to know 165 of them, and that includes you.
Like, to me, like, you can tell that Nick Cage's character is smart in the movie. He knows everything that he has to say.
Yeah, and he knows, like, the only thing that ever gives him away is trying to be the hero, which is what he keeps almost catching him, and then he's smart enough to talk his way out of that. He's
trying to be good. Yeah, it's the Ranger in him that's coming out.
Yeah, but
it goes back then to Cyrus's prison cell.
Well, we see that Billy kind of just, you can see that he doesn't trust him. Yeah. He's like, there's something off about him, and he's kind of like, right, we need to keep an eye on him.
And Cyrus's cell in the meantime blows to bits.
Yes, well, as they discover what's wrong, John Cusack's character Larkin is like goes to run out and he's like, "Do not touch anything." And your man goes, "What's this box that says do not open?" And they're like, "He said not to touch anything." And he goes, "Ah!" Opens it, and then
It's a bomb.
tick 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 tick.
Yeah.
So blows away all their proof.
I don't think they needed proof at this stage.
They don't need proof, but Larkin then gets in contact with the DEA, and they're like, the convicts are in charge of the plane. And he's like, "What about my officer?" And he's like, "Your officer is dead."
Colin Meaney's character in this is a dickhead.
Yeah, but Colin Meaney's character in nearly everything Colin Meaney does, he's a dickhead. Like, he's so good at being the dickhead. Like,
it's true, apart from the commitments.
Yeah, but he's so good at it, and he's he's not wrong in what he's saying either, because he's like, listen, it's pretty much all criminals on that. They've killed one of my agents. They've got control of that plane. We need to get that thing down.
Oh yeah, you're not shooting my plane down.
Larkin is like, do not shoot that plane down. Do not shoot that plane down. And he's like, there's clearly someone on there trying to help us. And he's like, this is who it is. It's Cameron Poe. Cameron Poe is trying to help us. And he's like, I don't care. Shoot that down. So they scramble these attack helicopters.
Little Apache helicopters, yeah.
And they're tracking the transponder.
All in the meantime, you see a little small tourist plane flying across Arizona.
Yeah,
like, which to me, I think they're going to the Grand Canyon or somewhere.
Yeah, they're probably just going to the Grand Canyon. It's like, we'll just bring these lads out on a little tour. And we see Cyrus gets in contact over the communications on the plane to Larkin, and he's like, I'll ask a question, and then you can ask a question. So Cyrus asks a question.
Well, Colin Meaney starts screaming at him first, and he's like, if he talks again, we end this conversation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk again. He's going to leave now. So Larkin asks Cyrus asks his question, and Larkin gives him.
Yeah, how were your boys on to me in Carson City?
Yeah, he's just like,
the guard faked a heart attack.
Yeah, guard faked a heart attack and said what happened, and he's like, Cyrus doesn't buy it.
Where are you taking my plane?
And then he tells him, and he's like, that's a lie. And he's like, so was yours. Goodbye. And just hangs up on them.
Yeah, like John Malkovich, I don't know. I can't think of anybody or actor really at this time that could have played Cyrus as well as
he plays the character very well. But we see the Apache helicopter scrambled, and they're going to go and find this plane. And Larkin discovers, hang on, that's not right. That's not their plane.
Yeah, because the way it's going is turned back on each other.
Well, he discovers this because on the plane, the guys have discovered we're not going quick enough. The landing gear is stuck. So Diamond Dog is sent to go fix it, and then he goes, oh, well, I'm not going down there. And he goes, hey.
Yeah, this is where Swamp
get down there.
How long is it going to take us? It's going to take us 71 minutes going 228 miles an hour.
The problem is
we're going 202.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take you that much longer.
No, but they send, they go down and they find, this is where he is. He's stuck in the landing gear.
Yeah. And Ving Rhames didn't want to go down anyway, but goes down with him. And they're like, oh, look, there's all our stuff.
Yeah, they're like, there's all our stuff. And he goes, oh, and that's what's jamming the landing gear.
Get rid of him.
Get him out. So he's like, okay. And he takes out a pen and he like writes on the shirt and he's like, Larkin.
Poor pinball.
He's like, writes a message and it's kind of like, Larkin, we're going to land in this airport.
Lunar airfield.
I think it's Lunar. Lerner.
Or Lerner. Is it
Lerner airfield. He's like, we're going to land here. And he puts it on the thing and then throws him out the thing. Now, he's dropping from quite a height and he lands on this poor guy who's like, just got my car cleaned. He has the wife and this. He has the wife and then a bird shits on it. He's like, every time I get the car cleaned, a bird shits on it. Within 10 minutes of leaving the thing. And then he goes to drive forward. And I mean, I think you're probably not going to complain that much about the bird shitting on it when a fully grown man falls out of a plane and just smashes into it. This causes this massive crash.
Car crash. Yeah. Diamond Dog's hilarious here though.
With the glasses on him.
No, he turns the gun on Paul and he's like, gotcha. And he's looking at him going, he's like, hurry up.
Yeah.
Bye, pinball.
No. But they learn that, the lads are going to Lerner Airfield. So he rings that in and he says, listen, get police officers down there. It's not going to take them that long to find the weapons on board. So, like, go armed, be ready.
But again, Colomini's a dickhead.
Well, he rings the local place near Lerner, and then he rings up to Colomini and he's like, listen, you are after the wrong plane. And they're like, no, we're not. And he's like, no, you are. That is not where they're going. They're going to Lerner Airfield. And they just, Colomini just turns it off. Nah, shut up, you. So he goes to the hangar.
Yeah,
Larkin goes to the hangar and he's like, I need a plane. And they're like, oh, we don't have any planes. He's like, you get there in 15 minutes if you drive a quick car. So
light bulb.
So he's going to take his car, and then he goes, that car looks faster. Oh, getting that.
Colomini's convertible.
Car. So he rallies there, gets there in time.
Plane hasn't landed yet.
As the plane's on its way there to land, the boys discover, wait a minute, this plane is just over the ridge here. They fly up to attack it, and they're like, hang on, there is not 30 people on that plane. That plane has got about 8 people on it, and it's for tourists. And they're like, oh, crap. Right.
They spin out,
They spin out, and they're like, right, get to Lerner. So they land in Lerner, and all the convicts.
It's not a great landing either.
Well, he goes to land, and there's a different plane landing.
Yeah, so he pops it back up.
Bounces over him, proper Ryanair style landing. Bam!
And then you get your...
Well, they're about to crash into this, like, propane tank, so he takes away the landing gear and nosedives it into the ground to stop the final crash.
Yeah, because if you hit the propane tank, you're dead.
You're all dead, yeah. So all the boys jump off the plane and they're like, this is great, we're free. And this is where they're meant to meet the second plane that's going to take them to whatever country's not going to extradite them.
Yeah.
So they're all getting off and they're like, let's go, we'll just kind of have a look.
I think you can imagine is probably going to be the Dominican Republic.
It could be like anywhere really, you wouldn't know. But they all get off and they're all kind of enjoying themselves. And Diamond Dog goes to kill the
guards.
The guards, and Cameron Poe was like, hey,
we need those.
We need them. And he's like, no, we don't, we're going to kill them. And he's like, no, we need them. So then Cyrus is like, oh yeah, why don't, he wants to kill them. I want to kill them. Why shouldn't we kill them? And he's like, well, where's the plane we're meant to be getting on?
How many shifty South American drug lords do you trust?
No, but he was like, listen, where's the other plane that we're meant to be getting on? And Cyrus is like, we're waiting for sort of, and he's like, yeah, and what if that plane doesn't show up and we have no hostages? What stops them just killing all of us? And Cyrus is like, he's right, don't kill them, put them back on the plane. So
he's very calculated.
Cyrus is very calculated once he's been given information.
Yeah, once he tunes in, he seems reasonable to an extent for a mass murderer.
Well, I mean, he's smart. Like, he is a smart guy. Like, there's no denying that. He's pretty much come up with this whole operation.
They do mention it early on that since he's been in prison, he's got himself 2 doctorate degrees.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. So they get back onto the plane, and while they're on the plane, Billy gets down into the holding where all their stuff is.
Yeah, and Poe sees him go down.
And Poe sees him go down, and he's like, right, let's see what this lad's up to. And he discovers that Poe has been lying, and he's like, you're a free man. What are you still doing on this plane?
This is where you get the infamous line from this movie.
Put the
bunny back in the box.
A fight breaks out, and Poe kills him.
Yeah, the pipe breaks and he
it's not an accident though. Like he recognizes that the pipe is broken and he goes,
oh yeah, because he gets that arm bar in and you can hear his arm snap.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Boots him onto it.
So he boots him onto it, kills him, and comes back up. And Steve Buscemi's character is like, 2 go down, 1 come back up.
That to me was a little the little tribute to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Yeah. But it shows that he's, watching what's going on. He's like, you've killed that guy. And he's like, even before that, he's like, that guy isn't talking about Billy Bellum. He's like, that guy isn't able to be happy. Like, happiness causes him pain. Like, he's only actually happy when he's unhappy, sort of thing.
Like
And then he starts telling them,
you can tell Steve Buscemi's a very educated guy in this.
yeah. And then he starts telling them, he's like, you think I'm crazy, but you know, what if I told you that everyone else was crazy, working 9 to 5 for 55 years just to be put into a retirement home and to hope you die before you end up like
having to rush to the bathroom and not make it.
Yeah, worrying about whether you're going to make it to the toilet on time or not and stuff. And you know, this is the sort of thing, like, it shows that he thinks everyone else is crazy, so he doesn't think what he's doing is wrong. He's like, this is fine. Like, yeah, I've killed all these people, but you think I'm crazy, but I think they're crazy. So
yeah,
it's a fine. And Cameron's just like, listen, it's my little girl's birthday today. Do not tell me any more of your sick stuff. I don't care. And then he's like, I'm going to go get you a syringe so you can inject yourself with that insulin.
Yeah, your man's in bad shape.
Your man is in bad shape. So he gets off the plane and he says...
No, I like to hear that they stuck to probably proper medical thing where he goes to move him and you want to don't move him because he'll go into shock.
Yeah. So he's getting himself off the plane. And then he gets off the plane and he says to Cyrus, listen, they're looking around the town as Steve Buscemi's character gets off and wanders off to the local trailer park, and there's some little girl sitting in a pool. Obviously you're built to think that like he's going to kill that little girl.
This is genuinely the creepiest you'll ever see Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, he's very creepy. Like, he comes over, moves whatever little thing was sitting in front of her and sits down on the little chair in front of her.
Like, this, to me, his character has to be based off other killers, but
I think it's based off a mix of them, yeah.
The way he portrays the character is real stern silence, and is...
Oh, he's brilliant.
His
mannerisms and like his way of speaking
has to be based off Hannibal Lecter. And
some of it is, as you say, like they've put the mask and everything on him. It's all based off multiple people. Like, he's done a very good job on it.
Yeah. Like, his performance is probably the best in this.
Yeah, but as
maybe John Malkovich.
As he's off talking to this little girl, the rest of the lads are,
they're digging the plane out.
Well, they realized, listen, that other plane's not here. Let's start digging this out, and we'll get some.
We'll have it ready.
He says to one of the lads, "Go off and find that." And Poe is like, "I'll go get some gas, will I?" And he's like, "That's a good idea. Go and get the gas."
And then he says to Danny Trejo to go keep an eye. An eye.
So as they're doing that, he's off. He goes in and he's looking for. He goes into what would have been like the little hospital of the town. Checks in the first aid box and it's full of like chicken legs and stuff. And he's like,
"Is he not in a restaurant?"
No, he goes into the restaurant after.
He first
goes into this like the little hospital, and it's got like chicken feet and like all this like weird herbal stuff. Like, oh yeah, this'll heal you. And he's like, this is a bit weird. And then he's kind of like looking around, and he's like, "What's going on here?"
This is where you see the Mexican run off.
No, well, before the Mexican runs off, we see he goes into this little area with like he's like looking around, and he's like, "Oh, maybe in there." So he goes in and he finds this little plane, and he's like, a plane that'll fit 4 people, maybe.
Is this not where Ting goes in? John Cusack's character, because he kills the Mexican lads.
No, John Cusack's character has snuck in and found it as well, but so does Poe. John Cusack's character is kind of hidden at the back, whereas Poe walks in and gets clocked in the back of the head, and then he gets up and your man's got a gun and he's like, "Listen, if you shoot me, all those boys are going to hear it, whatever, 60 criminals, and they're going to come in here, they're going to discover you." And your man just, and he's like, "Oh, well, fucking great, a silencer." And
that's right, yeah.
That's when John Larkin pops up behind them with the gun, and it distracts them just enough for Poe to,
do his thing,
hand out an ass whooping. And he gets the silenced gun and he shoots one guy. And then him and Larkins have the standoff, and Larkin's like, "You're Cameron Poe," and he's like, "Yep." And he's like, "I'm Larkin." He's like, "I'm gonna put this down, and he's like, okay, are you gonna put your one down? Nope. I only trust 2 men in this world, and neither of them. One of them's me, and the other one's not you. And Larkin's just like, okay, and he's like, listen, what's the story? Why? Like, I met your wife, and she's told me she wants you to come home and stuff. And he's like, if you see my wife in person, you tell her I couldn't leave a man behind. My friend's on that plane, and he's dying, and I'm not leaving him there. And he's like, you do that for me. And Larkin's like, okay, I'll do that for you. And then he's like, right, they go their separate. Well, he's like, I'm gonna go save the day. So he leaves. Larkin leaves the other way, and then we see a guy pop up from in the plane, who's just like,
just from behind the window, going,
whoa.
Just gonna stay quiet here.
He goes off into the petrol station, which is the diner as well. Like the petrol station and the diner are kind of one thing. And he's looking around he's looking around in the diner to see if he can find. Yeah, he's obviously looking for a syringe of some sort or something. Because he's definitely not looking for petrol, because the petrol's outside and he's not getting it.
Yeah, he goes by the pumps.
Yeah, while he's doing that, the lads are digging the plane out, and they've gotten ropes, and they're like pulling the plane. They have
a little tractor as well.
Yeah, they have the little tractor, and this is what I love. Like Diamond Dog's like whipping the lads in front of him. He's like, "Come on, drive that tractor!"
Yeah.
But we see something off in the distance, kind of sand rising, and
then Trejo goes apeshit.
Danny Trejo's like, "Hey, they're coming!
We've got company."
They look at that, and they're like, "How long we got? 10, maybe 12 minutes." And he's like, "Right. We won't have the plane out in time. What we need to do," they come up with a plan. And I love this, because they come up with this plan, and he's got these 4 cans on the ground. Now, how he knows how many there is, whatever. But he's like, we're going to shoot this first one, and we're going to shoot the last one. And that leaves the other 2 stuck there, an airtight pocket for us to kill everyone else. It's a good plan. But as he's drawing it out, there's some guy, and he's like, and what's that? He's like, these are the cars. This is where we are. This is the plane. He's like, what's that? That is a fucking stone. And then he kicks it out of the way, and your man's like, oh, sorry. Which I love, because it's just, your man's clearly trying to like, yeah, I'm involved. And they're just like, you're an idiot.
Yeah. And then like we see
they get the gas canisters and start opening them so that they can get this explosion. They find all the guns in the
they knew they were there.
Yeah, well, they find them, get them out, and Cyrus sees that Bedlam is dead down there as well.
He's tucked up nicely with a blanket. He's only asleep.
Yeah, well, I think he knows that lad dead.
Yeah.
Bedlam's not missing out on all this. Bedlam is not missing out on all this fun. While all this is happening, the lads are in the plane. We see they're like pulling the plane out, and the slime ball who was organizing, oh yeah, I'll get us all out of here, shows his true colors, and he's like, I'm gonna leg it to that plane. So he runs, and he sees the 3 dead bodies, but he knows the other guy's in the plane. He jumps in, he's like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So he goes to drive off, but Larkin sees it, and it kind of, I don't know, it kind of backfires on him somehow.
It's the back of the propeller shoots him back. Yeah. Shoots the air at him.
And then he runs and gets into this the crane. Yeah, he gets into the crane, and the plane starts to leave.
The crane's coming down.
The crane comes down and cuts off the back of the plane, essentially.
Yeah, it hits the back, the
back wing, like the
fin.
The fin at the back of it knocks that off, and the lads crash into the petrol station.
Yeah.
And then there's oil, like petrol dripping out of that. The petrol station is being blown up. And while this is happening, Poe has rolled under this car, and there's a man lying there, and he goes, "Oh my God, you're gonna kill me!" And he's like, "I'm not gonna kill you." And he's like, "Hey, is there a syringe anywhere?" He's like, "Hey, drugs will kill you." And he's like, "Shut up! Is there a syringe?" He's like, "Over in the boneyard there might be," which is basically where all the scrapped planes are. He's like, "There's a fire truck, and that might have a first aid kit in it." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go get that. You just stay here and sit tight." And your man's like, "That's easy for you to say. You don't gotta go for a piss."
Yeah, I love this.
That's your biggest worry. Your biggest worry after hearing all these planes crashing and all these convicts outside, that's your biggest worry is I need to go for a bit of a piss here. But
you best believe if that was me, I'm not moving.
No, you're not. Which in turn probably means he's dead. Because when Poe runs off to go to the graveyard, Poe runs off to go to the graveyard to get the first aid kit, and then we see the slime ball guy like hanging out of the plane, and he jumps down and he's like, Cyrus,
I was coming to get you.
I was coming to get you, and he's like, he's trying to like, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't trying to double cross his. And what does he say? He says like, Saya, and then Cyrus finishes it and says Nara, and like throws some guy's cigarette onto the petrol, which then just blows the whole thing up. So I'm assuming
is that not happen? And then Paul runs and jumps through the door.
He does, but if the other guy is still under the,
because he's under that truck to avoid the fire.
No, he's under that truck to avoid the
plane.
The plane crashing it. That guy is dead, Greg.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
he's definitely dead if he stayed there. He's dead man. But Poe gets out and he gets into the boneyard and he finds the syringe. But while he's on his way there, the rest of the lads are setting up their little trap, and they've got the guns and everything. They're all set up, ready to go. So Poe makes his way there, but on his way there, he takes one of the things they were using to pull the plane out and wraps it around a pillar and hooks it up so that the plane won't be able to take off. And he goes off, he gets that, and then all hell breaks loose as the lads are pulling in.
I love that though. You can see the actual military training there.
Yeah.
That one of them has had or has figured out, because you're like, let them come a little bit further where they can't get out.
Yeah, well, it's all Cyrus. He's like, wait until you see the first one and you see the last one, because you want to hit the first one and the last one pretty much simultaneously.
Yeah, and then so there's no way out.
Then they hit the first one, they hit the second one, and while this is happening, Larkin has noticed it, and he's like, you need to get those guys out of there. You need to get them out of there. Pull back. But it's too late.
Yeah, as soon as he says that second pull back, it's
too late. But the prisoners just start raining down fire.
Yeah. What do you want to see in the boneyard? Lots and lots of dead people.
Now, while all this is happening, Poe has found the syringe, but on the plane, Johnny 23.
Oh, he started making his way back.
Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna become Johnny 24.
Yeah.
And he's about to.
You see the black guy he's like, I'll beat your ass.
Yeah, but he's in no shape. Like
can't even stand up, can't even crawl.
Yeah. But just before all this happens, we see it goes back to the fighting. And Larkin has got this bulldozer.
The bulldozer.
And he's got it up, and he's like, everyone,
genius idea.
Everyone get behind the bulldozer. Everyone get behind the bulldozer. And they're like, okay, yeah. So everyone gets behind that, and Poe manages to get one of the police cars that hasn't been blown up, and drives it. He somehow drives it back to the plane, runs on just as this is about to happen.
Is this not where he attaches the rope around the concrete pillar?
No, he does that before that, because you see him before, while he's going to do that, Johnny 23 is on his way back to the plane. And he kind of sees him do it, but just doesn't care.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So he gets back and he knocks Johnny 23 out and handcuffs him up where she'd been handcuffed.
Don't treat women like that, smashing his head around.
Yeah. Then she spits at him, fair enough, And
then she hits him a volley in the chest.
Yeah, deserves it, No.
I'd say he's about 2 seconds away from
her killing him. Oh yeah, she's ready to. But
no, I'd say he's about 2 seconds away from raping her.
Oh yeah, he's she's knocked out on the floor nearly.
Yeah, he picks her up, puts her over the chair, didn't he?
Yeah. But then it's stopped. It's all well and good, and then Cameron gives the syringe to his mate, and he's like, "You just get that on you," and then the three of us are getting off this plane.
Simple as that.
That's it. We get off. The police will sort all them out. And we're just, we're sitting here no more trouble from us. All good. The problem is, as he goes to do this, the convicts have decided
we're legging it.
We need to get on that plane now. Like we have to get on that plane now. Like there's no two ways about it. Like they've broken through. And while all this is happening, Green is off with this little girl, and they're singing, "We got the whole world in our hands."
It's so creepy.
It's so creepy, but it works really well.
Yeah.
And then he goes off. She brings him back to the little village, and that's the last kind of we see of him for a little while.
Of Green.
Yeah, that's kind of the last we see of him for a little while.
What
you're left thinking is, he's gonna kill everyone.
All you see is the broken cup and all.
Yeah. So all the lads are eventually back on the plane, and Green has made it back on the plane as well.
Yeah, he just strolls in.
He just, everyone's just kind of like, "Hey, where's he been?" And they're like, don't ask him, just fuck it, he's mental, just let him in. So they get the plane up in the air again.
And then you see him.
Well, they're about to get the plane back up in the air, and Cyrus goes, "Someone's after tying the plane down."
Yeah.
So they bury bullets into it. I mean, that's not going to work. You're shooting massive concrete. That's not going to work. But they get it.
The film, it works.
They get it, and then the hook latches onto the car, and then you see the car like flying behind them, and the three of them, Bishop, Poe, and his mate are like,
on a different day, that'd be
on a different day, that would be a very strange thing to see.
Yeah.
But they go back onto the plane, and everyone's kind of celebrating and partying, and a letter has been brought to Cyrus by Diamond Dog, and he's read it. And he goes and turns the music off, and he's like, "Now, someone has been helping the police. Somebody killed Bedlam, and somebody tied our plane back there. Now, who was it?" And he takes Bishop, puts a gun to her head, and he goes, "Now, whoever it was is about to reveal themselves." And, as he always does, Poe is about to try and save the day, and his mate goes, "It was me." And they're like, "You've been nearly dead for the last 4 hours. You couldn't even walk. You're telling me you did all this?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was me. Pretty dumb, huh? Or pretty smart, huh?" And then your man goes, "No, this is pretty smart," and just shoots him straight in the stomach.
Yeah, he just straight up bursts him.
Yeah, and then Cyrus is starts reading out the letter, and he's like, "On July 17th is my birthday. July 17th, my dad's
coming home.
My dad's coming home and stuff." At this point, Cyrus obviously knows that it's Poe.
Yeah, it's set up that he knows, because he has the letter, and then he has the bunny. She goes to the back of the plane.
Yeah, and he has the bunny, and he's about to do all this, and then the attack helicopters show up and start firing.
What's he saying? "Someone has to tell me, otherwise the bunny's gonna get it."
The bunny gonna get it. So the attack helicopters show up, which kind of distracts Cyrus from who on the plane is, screwing them over. Now, Colin Meaney's character is again just blow them out of the sky, and the other guy is like, I've got a lock on them. And Larkin's getting his way, getting the way of that missile so that he doesn't fire it.
Oh, we actually, there's one part we forgot when they take off from Carson City. One of the best lines that Steve Buscemi comes out with in this movie, where they're all dancing around the plane, and they're listening to Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, and he's ironic, isn't it?
The fine irony. A bunch of idiots dancing on a plane to a song made famous by a band that died in a plane crash.
It's very, very good. But we see, Larkin is obviously trying to stop this plane getting blown down, and the pilot of the other plane is like,
we have to do it. We have to do it now.
He's like, "I've got a lock on," and he's like, "We either do it now, or they're getting into the Vegas airstrip." And while all this is happening, there's a scrap on the plane, and Poe is walking towards. He knocks one guy out pretty easily. Dispatches the first guy pretty quick.
It's just a one straight shot, yeah.
Yeah. Then somebody shoots at him and grazes his arm.
Yeah,
it's just a minor character. It's not one of the main guys. It's just some guy.
It's the guy they picked up that when he gets on the plane in Carson City, he's like, "We took the plane. Shut up, you fucking idiot. We're gonna get caught."
So he gets the shot and it just shoots him in the arm. And like Terminator, he just keeps going. So he smashes him up a little bit and takes the gun.
Yeah.
And then the guy who's like dressed in like the women's clothes and stuff looks like he's about to hit him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit him," and he's like, "Actually, no, I'll just slap him really hard." So just bitch slaps him.
And that open hands.
Yeah. Puts him down and he gets into the cockpit.
Yeah.
Now the reason he's done all this is his friend is dying, and he's like, "There is no God," and he's like, I'm gonna show you there is a God. Yeah, so he goes full Terminator, gets into the cockpit, and he tells something. He's like, "You're gonna land this plane." And while he's doing all this, he's locked the gates behind him so that Cyrus can't get to him.
Yeah, which is very smart.
Yeah, cerebral. So Cyrus gets through the first gate, but can't get through. He uses all the bullets to get through the first gate. Gets to the second one and realizes, no bullets left in this gun.
We're screwed.
Kind of throws it to the side, and he's like banging on the thing. He's like giving out. He's like, "Poe, I'm gonna kill you!" And Poe was like on the microphone or on like the headset, and he's like, "We're coming down. Don't shoot." And they're like, Colmini's character's like, "Okay, don't take the shot." And they're like,
"Go." A while, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's like, "Well, it's a tough decision because you either shoot them down now, or they're going to the Vegas airstrip where you have to then capture all of them." And then they discover they're not going to make it to the Vegas airstrip.
Well, they might have. I know Swamp Thing says that one engine's gone, they're losing fuel. They might do. I think this is just his way of.
I don't think it is. I think he's telling the truth. I think they probably wouldn't have made it because you've seen that one of the engines is gone because you can see it smoking out the back after the attack helicopters have been shooting at it.
Oh yeah, no, I know. They said one's gone, but yeah, I'd say it might do. I think I always thought this was his way of just causing more chaos.
It possibly is, but no one can tell him different. And he's like, the attack helicopters are like, the pilots there are like, yeah, they're not going to make that either. So I assume they're not going to make it, but they don't make it anyway. So they're going to land on the strip,
the Las Vegas strip, not an airstrip.
Yeah,
the Vegas strip,
just on the strip. And Colmini's like, well, going to be massive casualties now. So in the end, it probably would have been better had they just shot the plane out.
Yeah,
we would have saved a lot of lives and a lot of damage, but it is what it is.
It's a Jerry Bruckheimer movie all the same.
While this is happening, Bishop has kind of snuck up on Cyrus and taken the gun. She picks up the gun and like cracks him in the mouth with it.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I find here, right? I know he's the bad guy, right? He's the protagonist and all this.
Yeah.
But he's actually looked after her quite well. I mean, he doesn't do anything to her. He keeps her safe, to be fair.
I think the only reason he does is, though, that he hates Johnny 22.
No, I know
or
that.
23. That's pretty much it.
He doesn't let anyone do anything to her.
Yeah, but the only one that ever wanted to do anything to her was Johnny 23. The rest of them were all happy for her to just be locked up.
Yeah, true, but I thought it was a bit...
Yeah, possibly, but, she cracks him one, and, that puts him down on the ground for a little while. And they start, they're landing the plane.
Oh, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, all hell breaks loose. Like they crash into
everything
on the way down.
Like this is the thing where if you hit a tree or you fall out of a tree, you're gonna hit every branch on the way down. They hit everything.
They do, and as they're getting there, there's kind of Poe comes out from the cockpit, like, and him and Cyrus kind of get into it a little bit, and they have each other pinned up against by the throat, and then the propeller flies through between the two of them.
It's crazy. It's the plane is almost at a stop at this point. It's going through. Is it the MGM, the one with the tunnel? I think it might be the MGM, but no, I'd say there's probably more than that.
Yeah, But either way, they crash into a hotel eventually that stops the plane.
Yeah.
And, all the prisoners are taken off. That's grand. And they get, they have them all locked down, and he's getting off the plane, and he gets, his friend onto a medical trolley, and he's like, get him into, look after him, and we'll come visit you in the hospital and stuff. And Bishop is just like, thanks for looking after me, and go home to your family.
Gives him an old kiss on the cheek,
Yeah, oh, thanks very much. Like, you're a good guy, and understands that he was in prison for yeah, he's in there for manslaughter, but it's self-defense at the same time, and that it hasn't changed him. He's still a good man at heart.
Oh yeah, it was one mistake, because even John Cusack's character at the time is trying to explain it. It's like when did he become an animal? When he stopped caring about the law. That could have been any one of us.
Yeah, but Larkin starts checking the people that are there, and he's like, okay, we've got this guy, and he's like, where's Cyrus? Where's Swamp Thing? And where's Diamond Dog?
Yeah, and then at this point you see them taking out Johnny 23.
Johnny 23, except his arm is still tied to, and they're just like, this one's dead.
Yeah, they take away his arms. I love that though. His arm is left hanging.
Yeah, because before that, you don't know that his arm has come off, and then they move the body, and the arm is still there. It's great. Like,
it's a lovely touch though. That it's not just his arm, even the other way. It's the tattoo, his face.
Yeah, so you definitely know it's him. Yeah. But we see the three boys sneak out from under the plane.
This is brilliant as well, because when Dave Chappelle done it in the start, he drops out and he drops onto his back, where Cyrus, the thing drops down. He pops his head out and he's like,
checks that everything's clear. Yeah.
And go.
But then they run off and they get onto one of the fire trucks that have come, to help. And Larkin and Poe jump on, police bikes and give chase.
That bit there is very smart from story writing and Jerry Bruckheimer's point of view, where they say, we have everyone but these three.
Yeah. So then they go chasing them, which is grand, and it's a good chase scene. Like, they're chasing along. Cyrus is up on top of the fire truck. Diamond Dog is on like the side of it, and he's shooting at them. And Poe is just like, is there any bullets in that gun? Yeah. Well, let's start shooting at them. So they start shooting at them, and Poe goes around to the side and then gets underneath it and grabs onto the bars of the ladder, essentially.
What I love here is though, you see him give that throttle the extra bit.
Yeah, and then jump up.
Yeah, and then you see poor Ving Rhames take a bite to the face.
Yeah. Well, he takes the bite to the face, and while all this is happening, Cyrus on top with the hose, and he's like blasting police officers off their bike.
But you see, he catches one of them right in the face.
Yeah. And then he gets like, I don't know, it's like a stick. I don't really know what it is. It's like a pike.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best way. It's what it is if a firefighter's walking on a floor or a roof.
Yeah, they use it to check.
They use it to check. It's a stabby thing.
Yeah, so he has a pike and he's like jabbing it down through the bars, trying to get to Poe. Yeah, get to Poe, and then as all that's happening, at the side of the truck we see Larkin pull up, and he jumps onto the side, but Swamp Thing hits the bike and thinks he's killed him. So Larkin picks up the axe and walks up onto the top of the thing and starts hammering down into the roof, and he's like, hey,
what the hell is that?
What the hell is that? And while this is happening, Poe has managed to get a hold of the pike, and he's jabbed it through the leg of
this is horrible.
Cyrus.
Horrible.
And then he monkey bars his way along the bars and gets himself up.
All whilst having been shot in the arm, don't forget that.
Yeah, he's a beast,
That thing there though, where he sticks it through his ankle, all I'll ever remember from anything like that was Evil Dead. But I think this might be worse than the original Evil Dead.
It's pretty gruesome, but
it goes the whole way through, and you're like, oh. Yeah.
But Cyrus pulls that out, which
like a machine,
which must have killed him. But then the two of them start scrapping on the top of this ladder, and eventually they collapse on top of the ladder, and
he gets handcuffed to
the ladder, and then Poe just kind of raises the ladder up so that it's completely vertical.
To to me here when he's doing that, I think he means to grind him off the roof of the tunnel they're in.
I don't know what he plans to do, but he's definitely like, I'm going to leave him up there so that he can't, swing himself down anywhere. And while this is happening, Larkin gets the hose and just shoots it into the front of the truck, which causes
up with water.
And the truck is going towards, this bridge, and it hits into a few cars on the way. Larkin has jumped off. Poe sees it and jumps off, and
Swamp Thing goes through the front windscreen.
That's him gone, and
it's a pretty poor ending for the likes of him and Diamond Dog. It's only just.
I think Diamond Dog's is pretty good because he goes through the thing and it's like he falls down onto this.
No. Diamond Dog got the one to the face.
Yeah, sorry, Diamond Dog gets the one to the face. But Cyrus gets like thrown into this like machine presser.
Well, he goes through the walkway between the casinos, the crossover road.
Throws down onto this like little conveyor belt that goes towards this, this can crushing thing or whatever. Like it's not cans, whatever it crushes.
I imagine it's for crushing car parts or something.
Yeah, but he goes in head first, and we see it go up. He sees it, and it comes down, and just. That's him.
I love the John Malkovich. I know obviously he didn't do that thing, but to get the body to twitch once.
Yeah, but so that's all our main bad guys are dead, and we see Poe and Larkin, and he turns to Larkin and he goes, "Well, there's now 3 men I trust. One of them me, and one of them is you." He never tells us who the other one is. But
I imagine it's just his mate.
Yeah, presumably it's just your man from prison, but like could be anybody, I suppose, really.
Yeah,
but
or it could be his army ranger leader or whatever.
It could be absolutely anybody. But they go back, and he finally meets his daughter. You
get to see him where the buddy is going down the river or down the thing of rain, and he picks it out of the train.
And he gets back, and he meets the daughter, and she doesn't know who he is. She's kind of scared. Like she's written to him, she has pictures of him, and he says to the wife, he's like, I was meant to get my hair. I was meant to get a haircut before I seen you and stuff. And he's like, I've got this bunny for you. And he's like, it's a little dirty. And starts rubbing it on his dirty clothes, only making it dirtier. And she's like, the daughter's, scared. The mother's like, take the present from your dad. And he's like, no, like don't force her. And I think this is really good acting from the little girl because she acts the way you would expect her.
She looks genuinely terrified.
She looks very scared, and then she's like, I have a picture of you, and he's just like, yeah, I have a picture of you too. Now it's a bit too quick where they reconcile. Well, it's for it's the end of the film, and they're just like, oh, one big happy family, and you're like, oh, great, that's the end of the film, and the film starts to fade away, and then we cut to, all the prisoners have been caught except the main protagonists who are all dead, and then it cuts to the casino, and you're like.
New shooter.
Can he do it? And he's like, yes, I can. And it's just Steve Buscemi, and you're like,
as Garland Green, and he's in his prison uniform, so he just has a jacket on.
Yeah, and you're just kind of like, why wasn't he noticed? But then you remember, he wasn't noticed because he's a late addition.
This is what I was saying there.
Right until the very end, they don't know that he was meant to be there.
But that's what I was saying there a minute ago. It's great screenwriting and direction that they don't mention him. It's just done. They don't know he's there.
There's just one little thing that happens a little bit earlier when the plane is taking off from the second airport in Lerner Island or Lerner Airport. We see the little girl kind of wave goodbye.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so he didn't kill all them, and you're kind of thinking,
is he reformed?
Did his chat with Poe on the plane, was he like, maybe I won't do this? Or is it just like he's just enjoying his freedom and 6 months from now he's got to go on another rampage and kill a load of people? We'll never know.
Man's 100% going to go kill other people. Unless he makes it big in the casino.
See, I think he'll make it big in the casino, lose all his money and kill everyone in that casino. That's probably where this is going.
But what we didn't say was he probably got the money for the casino as when Diamond Dog and things.
All the money was like.
He runs through a secure van. Yeah,
and all the monkind raining down, and you see everyone out grabbing money and taking bits and pieces. It kind of comes to a bit of an abrupt end, as I said, where just happy family,
It's like they ran out of time or ran out of money.
Well, I mean, I didn't really want to see, like, you don't want to see a 20-minute scene of like him trying to convince the daughter to love him. It's fine to just end it there.
Yeah, but like there would have been a nice thing where if it had went even say a 5 minute scene post credit where it's like whatever
10 years
on
or like 10 months on or a year on or whatever, and it's just
and
like, oh, it's her next birthday and she's happy with him, and so that probably would have been,
or even that, and then have Larkin come in and just be like, make it thing, or you find out that the black guy survived and he's the other person he trusts.
No, see, I think it's better that we don't find out who the other person is, but I think if they just instead of having the Buscemi scene as the last scene, just skip like 1 year later and it's her birthday and she's happy with him and Larkin is at the birthday
and he got her some kick-ass gift
and he's just got her something. Yeah, like I think that would have been quite good. But
or even like building up to a birthday party or something a year's time, say you have the bunny on the bed.
No, see, it would have been nice to have like just a nice little quick end scene that shows that it is, but I get that they were just like, we just want to end it quickly where she just accepts her dad and that's it, and that's fine. It's a great action film. Like it's just, there's a great story to it, but the action scenes are very, very well done as well.
It's an intense, like when the action isn't all action all the time, but when the scenes are, they're intense.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this film. This is, as I said at the start, this is probably one of my favorite Nick Cage films.
Well, it's probably my second favorite.
It's definitely up there. Like, I don't think many people are gonna not have this near the top of their list.
Well, there's not many you can pick for Nick Cage, really.
I know, yeah, but I think this is probably near the top of everyone's list of Nick Cage films anyway.
Yeah, 100%. This is like this one and Gone in 60 Seconds are 1, 2.
Yeah, they're definitely up there. Yeah.
Well, they're in my opinion, they're probably his two best movies: Snake Eyes and then 8mm as well.
But no, it's a great film, and I really enjoyed getting a chance to go back and watch it.
Yeah, like so, I haven't watched this probably in about 5 or 10 years.
Oh, I probably hadn't. Yeah, it's probably been about that the same for me as well.
God bless Disney Plus.
Disney Plus has been a great help in getting a lot of these films back for us to be able to watch. But as a great film, and if everyone can like the videos and subscribe to the Dynamo Podcast Network, that'd be great.
Greatly appreciated.
If there's anything that you'd like to see us go back and watch, just let us know in the comments. And if you'd like to come and join us for one, just comment below and we'll be able to get in contact with you in some way to sort it out. But for this